At the moment, for Machi, I'd still be afraid.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead, though, and get ourselves set for our champ select. Like you mentioned, too, Alpha, they still have to play up against AHQ another time, but they still have a similar list of teams they have to play up against for their second time. HKAJ team. So for Alpha, they have an opportunity to try and jump up into the top 2 of the standing if they're able to actually take home the victory against Machi. That is a great starting step for them as we load in. We got Radiance and Yuan helping out the team over on the side for Alpha, and then Leo and Mountain from Machi helping out with the draft is Felio, Senna, and Syndra ban coming out on blue side for Alpha.
Meanwhile, we see Machi right off the bat.
Ooh.
The 3 champions we did mention at the beginning of this match, which is that has proved successful for Alpha Esports. And we did bring out the question, what does Alpha play instead to replicate what they've been doing so far that proved successful, especially on blue side? Now that Elise is open, they decide to let that go and opt for a set instead. Not Aatrox on Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, wild.
Well, again, reminder, this is PCS, though, because we have been seeing a couple of set supports come out.
That's true.
It's never been pretty. So we'll see. Renekton, though, is going to be immediately locked in here for PK if he's planning on going into the set matchup. That might be the case. Again, Alpha could try and flip the script on us. The Elise, though, it was hovered by Alpha. It might be going over to Gemini here for Machi.
Interesting. So, okay, never mind. This could be... They're choosing between Sejuani or Elise, which is understandable because if you get Elise, at least you take away an aggressive jungler coming from Alpha Esports, which, you know, Rek'Sai and Lee Sin is out of the table already. At least you have Sejuani, works well from early and as well as till late with the team fight that the Sejuani brings, team fight power that the Sejuani brings, and that is Machi Esports saying, okay, go ahead, please take the Elise.
Well, there we go. Elise going to get locked in here for Alpha, as Katjung will have that for himself. Not going to have his Lee Sin, where he was able to claim, what, 4 MVPs on Alpha's side on their victories. So Machi, knowing their opponent's strength. Misfortune, though, still an option, and is going to go ahead and get locked in here for Atwin in the bot lane for Alpha.
Setting up, definitely setting up for Assassin in the mid lane for sure. We've seen a couple of last-minute interesting picks like the Vayne mid way back in the very first Kassadin of the PCS as well. The Varus, though, could go either on Mission or perhaps Bruce. We've seen Varus mid twice or thrice already in the previous week, so it wouldn't be a surprise if that would be for Mission.
See here now, like you mentioned, there's some flexibility still available for Machi, and there's still a bit of flexibility for Alpha too. We still mentioned that set could go down in the bot lane, paired up with Atlan if they're looking for just, you know, a wombo combo here and there. But let's take a look toward our bans. Leona going to be banned out here by Machi, so they're calling that the set's going to go up toward that top lane.
Absolutely, as we'll see though, as Rock did play a lot of Aatrox games. He's played 9 games on Aatrox. I think that's a whole lot. He's only played set once so far. But we'll have to see what they decide to take, as that's going to be a Rakan ban from Alpha Esports. So either pushing a lot of the hook champions on Koala perhaps, like the Thresh or maybe the Nautilus. We'll see.
Well, Koala, though, isn't afraid to just go ahead and lock in the Kench, too, as well. Especially with the Varus right there. That's a very safe lane. A lot of safety for Bruce. So we'll see whether or not they want to go for that as well, especially when you're showing now that the Thresh is going to be banned out here by Machi. Maybe I expect possibly the Nautilus ban for Alpha. There's also been, you know, the odd Blitzcrank ban drawn by Koala, as he's one of the only support players to actually continue to play the Blitzcrank, especially even when Thresh is often banned by Machi.
There is also the surprise Bard from time to time, so that could be a possibility for a pickup. It's really good for it's a really good anti-aggressive team, so if Machi decides to play that out. But at the same time, for Alpha Esports, they're gonna just ban out Nautilus and the Galio. Yeah, Tom Kench. Okay.
All right, Kench makes a little bit more sense. We're also not, we don't have, I don't believe, the changes to Galio. That's a 10.7 where, you know, you get a little bit extra shielding on your target with your ultimate. But yeah, that's expected. Koala loves the Kench, keeps Bruce safe a lot during the lane phase, especially during the later game team fights. With the Braum actually being the only support that was actually able to make it through, as he's kind of slipped by our draft a couple times now.
True. Braum has been used as more of the anti-bullet time or anti-Ornhorn. But now, you get that Braum really good disengage or even engage as well. It would really protect and heal for your team. And they're really going for this.
Okay.
Kassadin, the third time.
Kassadin for Assassin was the first player to bring it out in the PCS. That does mean, though, Mission has a full counter pick option available for him, as it's now toward the very end of the draft. Maybe they opt to put that Varus down in bot lane for sure with Bruce and Koala. And now for Mission, what is his answer going to be? Does he want to try and go for the 1v1? Does he want something that can shove out the lanes and try and keep Assassin in the lane? Or do you want to opt for something like a team fight, like his Azir that we've seen time and time before?
Definitely not going to be playing for the lane if he's going to lock this down. I do believe Mission does have that record to play the Varus. If they do lock this in, Mission is going to play Varus for the second time in the PCS. I am excited. That's going to be the case. That is it.
So a decent amount of poke here for Machi, but then your front line is your Renekton and your Sejuani. So the biggest thing is, can you keep these two carries safe, especially the later the game goes? And will you be able to control Assassin, which once he hits that level 11, having 2 points into his Riftwalk, he's going to be an absolute menace, especially trying to hunt down this Varus or this Ezreal if they're trying to side push a lane.
Exactly, you have a lot of squishies. You have Varus that is quite low mobile if you think about it, and you have Bruce at least with the Arcane Shift safety. But what I'm really worried about from Machi Esports, that Assassin has played this similar matchup before. Assassin played against Candy, I believe, on the Lucian, so he's not going to be no stranger to this sort of, you know, against this 80 ranged matchup in the mid lane.
Now we'll see. Again, Machi already have themselves a playoff slot secured alongside AHQ. The question is, can they continue this win streak, force it to 8 wins back-to-back in the PCS as they look to secure second or first place in the standings to get that playoff bye to the winner's semi-final? Or does Alpha play spoiler once again and look to disrupt this momentum that Machi has themselves?
It has been done before. I believe the first ever taste of defeat by Talon Esports is against Alpha. So at this point, it could be a possibility. They like messing things around in the rankings, so I am looking forward to this one.
Yeah, especially like I'm interested to see, especially with Cat Jung and Assassin. You know, Cat Jung has been on fire the past 2 weeks, especially on his Lee Sin. This time around, he's going to be on the Elise. So trying to get the early game rolling for his lanes, I think, is going to be quite crucial. I think also, like we mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see Rock on something other than just the Aatrox, especially that it was open. He's going to be playing a set. He has played set only once before in the PCS, so a little bit of a different style of champion that we're used to seeing from Rock in the top lane.
And it is very different in general coming into this matchup, and especially Elise and especially Kassadin, which means they're opting towards later, into the late game.
There's gonna be a laning game at some point, Riku.
That's true.
Along with the late game, and we'll see whether or not Alpha are gonna be able to hit that, and whether or not Mission and Bruce are gonna be able to survive the menace that has been the Kassadin from Assassin as we load on to the Rift for our second game of the night.
This is going to be the third Kassadin, I believe, coming from Assassin in the whole entirety of PCS, I suppose. And meanwhile, again, just as you mentioned, having a Rock there on the set completely changes things for Alpha Esports in general. We'll have to see how the game goes.
Fan out, take in the sights of the Rift. But you can only relax for so long. Unfortunately, there's only 4 days remaining of the regular season when it comes to the PCS Spring. And then we head into our playoffs quite shortly. And for Alpha, I think it's rather important. If they're able to take home this victory, they would shove down Machi to a 10-4 record and bring them within striking distance. Unfortunately, though, Machi have already taken down their arguably stronger opponents already when it comes to their schedule so far. So they have themselves a bit of an easier strength of schedule coming before them to finish off the spring split. Alpha, on the other hand, they still got a couple of heavy hitters they have to run through.
True. Machi have yet to face Berjaya, HK, and J-Team, and as well as Liyab for the second round robin, I believe. I am looking forward to this Alpha start because they are actually, they're spotted. They know where Alpha is going to be starting, so they're going to match each other in terms of rotation and potential ganks. It is quite different from what we've seen on our first game, and where we saw Ryan, instead of moving upwards, went downwards. So I suppose it could be not the same for this time around.
Yeah. Catjung just going to go buff to buff as Gemini able to clear out his bottom side of the jungle, and with no vision from either side, both jungles can look to try and find a surprise attack, you could say. So we'll see whether or not Catjung or Gemini look to be the first ones to step out of the river and try and impact one of these lanes.
Yeah, most of the time that we've seen Catjug and Assassin go up ahead in their lanes in general is that, you know, spotting out the enemy jungler and Assassin getting that lane priority, and that's not going to happen, especially you're up against this Varus. You know, Catjug will be spotted by this ward here.
Yeah, so the one ward that was put out from Machi, that was PK very early on. PK, well, he's trying to sneak down. Gemini knows something's up, and actually Catjung's going to try and go for this. He's got to be a bit careful, because over toward the side, Gemini, oh, he ends up charging through the side of the brush, trying to guess where Catjung was, and maybe wanted to wait for that one to show, as that's going to be Cocoon into the Facebreaker, and PK just gets taken down by the Haymaker as Rock finds his first kill of the game.
Never mind, as the dynamics have completely changed, as Rock is on the set now. A lot of CC. This is going to be a teleport, especially PK does not have level 3, so this Renekton will not be as comfy entering into the fights. And meanwhile, Rock did get that level advantage, and that's the reason why, you know, the combo for Renekton wasn't complete at that time.
Yeah, Gemini, he tried to go for the Arctic Assault through, but Rock with a massive Facebreaker.
Beautifully done. Very, very clean. Very, very confident. And right now, Catjug's presence can be felt, and that's the first 4 minutes or so in the game, more or less. And lots of control, getting both scuttlers in the middle of the, rather not in the middle, beginning of the game. So that's going to be good control for the first portion of this match.
Unfortunately now, Gemini, he might have to worry a little bit toward this top side where PK is going to find himself, you know, not necessarily, you know, extremely far down in the matchup, but maybe wants to try and even back out that lane as Mission here. He's going to be rocking the Varus into this cast. And early on, the Varus being just ranged naturally is going to make Assassin's life not the funnest.
Definitely. I believe last time we saw this matchup into the range, AD carry in the mid lane, Assassin actually went to lane swap. And it was the exact same matchup too. It was swapping with the set. It was Rock going into the mid lane. But this time around, you know, Assassin is confident up against Mission here. And we'll have to see as we see Gemini lurking around the jungle of Alpha Esports this time around. Could be a dive as PK has set up the wave crashing towards Rock's side of the map.
I guess not here, as we're going to take a look. Did we just see a kill without being told? Or is it?
I think so.
Oh, Mission! He didn't hold down his Q long enough. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Almost killed him, yeah.
So it was almost a kill that we didn't get to see.
I was afraid that we didn't catch
I was
the
like,
kill.
did we not see a kill announcement? I know we're online this time around, but I thought we'd be better than that. So Assassin forced to use his teleport very early on, which means that's a little unfortunate on his timing. It means he only gets a Ruby Crystal on his first back, which is that's kind of a feels bad when you're a Kassadin. You'd like to maybe hope to have enough for your Catalyst, so you can start working into a Roa, or if you want to go into your tier. That does mean, though, for Machi, getting that pressure in mid opened up the Dragon Pit, and they look to take the first drag of the game.
True, it's gonna take a lot of sustain out of Assassin, especially you're up against this matchup with Avaris. Meanwhile, yep, that is more control for Machi. I feel like Alpha Esports will do the blue side game of investing a lot on top side, and then you get early Rift Herald to funnel that on towards your top laner. And PK, level 5.
This PK, he's got that level 5, but Katjong is still just taking his sweet time as Rock is getting a decent amount of damage now onto the tower. That's going to be the first plate going in his favor. So the set starting to get a little further ahead of the Renekton. Not the end of the world, though. PK is... He's been used to being going down in lane, actually, a couple times. Usually his CS and his gold is below his laner at 15 minutes, if I recall. So this is not a unfamiliar situation for PK.
That's true, especially when Machi Esports would desire to play around either mid lane and bank on Bruce later on towards the later phases. And it's going to be no problem, as PK would definitely be one of those, say, supportive damage, but will be very scary as the game progresses as a Renekton, I suppose.
You see there, Mission actually rocking the Hail of Blades, so he's really looking for those quick lane trades, get 3 auto attacks in, they get the piercing arrow out to try and get some burst onto Assassin. Katjong, though, he's making his way over. He's got Flash available. That's just going to be instantly the repel into the Cocoon. Spider's going to land, but Mission is safe. As looks like Alpha are going to try and at least get some pressure here toward the bot side of the map of Machi.
I think the attention definitely was to at least burn a Flash, but since there wasn't any sort of danger to...
Oh, Bruce might be
in
danger.
Bruce might be in danger, though.
Kino, he's made his way, and there's going to be a bullet time. Bruce forced to use his Arcane Shift, and he gets tagged there by the Winter's Bite. Meanwhile, Katjong, though, is going to get hunted down. It's going to be a trade of 1. Do they get anything back? It's going to be the Spider going down here as Mission goes for the roam. Now into the 3v3. Gemini does not have level 6. Mission has his level 6, though. Kino puts up the shield. Mission has his ultimate available. Now lets it fly. They get some damage on down, and now Assassin's going to get rooted. He gets taken down low, and there it is. Mission picks up his kill, and right as the level 6 hits from Gemini, he tries to pull the trigger. It forces out both flashes of Alpha's bot lane.
What a prolonged auto-attack exchange fight that we saw there between Atlan and Mission. But in the meantime, we saw Machi focusing more on Katjong here, as the fight has already began as they wanted to collapse on Bruce. And this is the very long exchange of auto-attacks basically between Atlan and Mission, as Atlan was focusing a lot on Koala. Therefore, Mission was completely untouched, as well as Atlan didn't have mana at the time for any sort of make it rain. But at the point, it was definitely an exchange of summoner spells for Atlan, I suppose, with Flash being used.
Also, that could have been a much rougher time for Alpha. If Gemini had the level 6 any earlier during that fight, he only got it because a minion died as they were going for a chase. He had that Glacial Prison, possibly getting a couple more kills, but a flashless Misfortune means that might be the new target here for Machi for the next couple of minutes. They do, though, send that Misfortune Braum toward the top side of the map to help secure the Rift Herald.
Meanwhile, we're going to see Bruce getting a couple of early plates as an exchange, as I believe the Rift Herald will... I guess Machi or Alpha could decide to either funnel that all to Rock or make it a shared pool for Atlan as well to pick up something. To further boost an early completed item for the MF.
Yeah, you kind of try and funnel as much gold as you can over onto the Misfortune. You also see Rock is just going to back off here as they let those turret plates go toward the bot lane. Since he's already found himself an advantage, and there goes Atlan, gets 300, but here comes Machi trying to interrupt him. So, is the trade worth it? 300 on the Renekton for 300 on your Misfortune.
That's the thing. If you, PK though, will have the time of his life later on as the Renekton. We've seen so many times how impactful a 2-kill Renekton can be eventually. And with Atlan not having any sort of defensive spells after the engage earlier, that is going to be a clean kill for Machi Esports.
So with that, Machi are actually able to take the kill lead, now 3-2, as well as the gold lead. They also will have a Mountain Drake spawning in about 20 seconds with the bot lane of Alpha still toward the top side of the map. Machi should be able to get priority toward the Drake pit and pick up their second dragon of the game.
Agreed, as we see Machi bot lane moving towards the same lane, not moving towards top. There is still 2 plates left to take, and meanwhile just 1 for Alpha in the bot side, or their bot lane rather. Machi will get the second dragon of the game, no contest whatsoever, as lanes have been struggling for Alpha, which is the expected result in the early game.
There you go. Rock is just going to put over the ward on top of the Drake. They get to watch that go down. Still, though, first tower of the game does go in favor as a trade for Alpha, as the Rift Herald was able to put down that top lane tower very low. We see Kino and Atlan maybe trying to be sneaky. They do go on top of a ward, though. I'm interested to see whether or not Bruce is going to be able to actually get this lane pushed back and try and get that last little sliver of health off the tower and get himself another plate, as this Ezreal has been kind of left alone to just continue to farm and stack up his tier.
And that's the familiar situation when they faced against Alpha Esports. It was Alpha generating a mess in the other lanes, but Bruce was just farming so peacefully. No one was there to actually try to bother Bruce, and this could be a huge problem in the later phases for Alpha.
You can see there Bruce opting to go for the lethal tempo is in this match, where he was going up against the Misfortune. Just wants to be able to throw in the auto attacks in between the Mystic shots, as again they apply this pressure, and with that lethal tempo get a little bit extra damage. Kino does roam on over, so they should be able to prevent that tower from falling off this wave.
Yep, and especially you're going to be against a Tom Kench. And you have the Arcane Shift, so that's going to be double safety for Bruce. And meanwhile, we see first items already coming up, getting completed by Machi at least. We have 1 for mission, the Umbral Glaive at least. But Seeker's Arm Guard for Assassin not completing the Catalyst just yet, so opting for a more physical defensive item against mission here as Assassin.
Yeah.
Just lurking around.
Unfortunately for Assassin, with all these little bits here and there, it's kind of stunted his stacking quite a bit. Hasn't been able to rush into the Roa or try and even get a tier at this point. He just wanted a little bit extra AP and, like you mentioned, the Seekers to be able to survive the lane against Mission here. So that does mean that Alpha's win condition when they usually lock in this Kassadin is going to be delayed a bit. Especially when it comes to this mid-game, as we're almost hitting 15 minutes and he has yet to finish an item.
Yeah, at this point, we see a lot of towers already going down. I think it is about to reach that point as we see the first one going down at top side for Alpha Esports. And meanwhile, we see the Alpha bot lane rotating back to protect the last turret plate and deny that away from Bruce, perhaps.
See, bullet time used down in bot lane. You got Alpha applying as much resources as they can to clear out that way, prevent Machi from getting their first tower of the game. They're really concerned here because the longer they can keep Bruce in this bot lane, the better I think their chances overall here. As Cat Jung goes through the repel, ends up spotting some members of Machi though. And there it is, Roa finally completed here for Assassin, so he can start stacking up his item.
Indeed, but Machi looking towards this bot lane.
There we go, Kench is going to come on over. Koala Love's going for it. That's going to be a double teleport coming on down, 1 for each side. And in comes Mission as well to join in onto the fight. The True Shot Barrage ends up just ripping apart the team. Bruce still tanking tower. He gets himself another kill. Kachung and Assassin, though, here for the cleanup possibly, but a beautiful piercing arrow comes out. And that lethality build from that Varus is just taking chunks out of its targets.
That is a clean dive from Machi Esports. They'll be satisfied taking that one as they've claimed 1 kill out of that dive in as well as a tower. Let's take a look at that again. Missile Voyage is the beginning of this fight. The Glacial Prison did not land, but it don't matter as they see PK entering the fight, and that was a beautiful True Shot Barrage, getting a huge chunk out of Atlan's HP and as well as PK's HP. Therefore, it puts Alpha Esports in an awkward situation to go in and all in.
Yeah, when you got multiple members like that chunked a little bit down, it's not the funnest of times. The one saving grace here for Alpha is they're only down by about 1,000 gold. So even though, you know, this Kassadin had a rougher lane phase because he went up against the Varus, he's going to start scaling it. Especially this, they can push him into a side lane because Alpha has already taken, pretty much they've taken the loss. They've tanked that bot lane already by putting the Misfortune now into mid to just clear out waves. And that allows Assassin to be safe in a side lane, stacking up his Roa and looking to farm up his tier later as the game goes.
Agreed. And with that said, I think the exchange earlier would really go on for Machi, as we saw how PK can be monstrous in the later team fights or in the later skirmishes. And now the next dragon is about to spawn, 10 seconds, and that will be an exchange instead, as they will be... Alpha will gladly take this Rift Herald for themselves.
So Alpha getting their second Rift Herald of the game. Be able to use that to try and crack open possibly the mid lane here, as instantly Machi respawn. Get the third dragon of the game for themselves. Looking to set up for a Cloud Soul at almost 20 minutes if they're able to get it off spawn. So a fast dragon game coming out from Machi in return. They'll get some cooldown reduction and movement speed if they're able to secure the final Drake and get the soul. So let's see.
Mission is... I'm worried, but, you know, Koala's there.
Oh, look at that, though. Catchung gets caught out because it was the Chain of Corruption coming out from Mission. That's going to force Catchung to flash away, but the auto attack from Bruce follows. And Machi are able to find a quick pick-off here, as Catchung not going to be able to respond to this tower in any way, as he's dead. And look at that, Gemini looking for a flank over towards the side. It's going to be bullet time coming out. PK takes down pretty low, gets taken over to safety by the side, and Koala is able to help out his top laner. But now look at Assassin. He wants to try and come in for a flank. He's got a level 11, 2 points of that ultimate. Is he going to have enough damage, though, is the question, as he's forced to back off. And, oh, they're able to interrupt Rock during the ultimate. Not able to finish the animation, so the damage doesn't come through. And Machi now, with another man advantage, should be able to take the first tier tower in mid lane.
Beautifully done by Machi Esports. They'll be happy taking that one, as Alpha was looking into getting at least a return kill after everything else. And with that said, Alpha, I think that was a really nicely placed timing on the exhaust. And that was also a good chain of corruptions coming from Mission there, which really halted Alpha Esports' counterplay coming into this match.
Yeah, and it's a long fight
coming
here,
into
though.
this battle, rather. Yeah,
Rock really wanted this, but he got chunked instantly. So unfortunate timing for the set there, as Machi are able to claim a couple kills as well as the tower in mid lane. That'll give them, actually, if they really want to, full control toward the bot side of the jungle, as they've taken the first tier in mid as well as the first tier in bot lane. It'll be an easy setup for the Cloud Soul in 3 minutes if they're able to maintain their pressure.
Absolutely, and considering the fact that Bruce already completed his Trinity Force, I mean, he was already painful earlier. It's going to be extra painful now, especially that doesn't have the stacks completed just yet. And Koala, I mean Machi, going over towards Assassin here on the top side.
Maybe trying to...
Looks like that's not going to be.
Yeah, they were thinking about maybe trying to catch him out, but unfortunately, Assassin was already backing off, as Gemini is... he was unsure. He was like, there might be a Cassidon in this brush. That's a little bit of wasted time coming out there from Machi, but nonetheless, I think they're still pretty happy as they maintain this 2,000 gold lead. And you can start to see exactly where all this gold is. A lot of it actually is on Mission when it comes to the advantage, because otherwise, you know, bot lane is only separated by 800. It's all this gold's been pretty much funneled onto Mission on the Vars.
And at this point, Mission will get scary as the game progresses for sure. And that's going to be a teleport to defend mid lane, where Herald already unleashed. And that's going to be cleared quite cleanly by Mission with only one charge getting that out. Bruce, though, side pushing?
Yeah, Bruce, he's got Trinity Force. He's got the fully stacked Mermana. Now look at this, though. PK going in for the flank, able to find a Chain of Corruption, also able to find its Marcus. Kino puts up the shield, but unfortunately, there's just nothing he could do there. Catchung comes down for the repel. He gets taken out, and the bullet time was interrupted beautifully by Gemini on the Sejuani.
Even forced to QSS, too. QSS, flash, heal. Atlan is forced to use everything. And Machi Esports, on the other hand, still has a lot of summoner spells left. Therefore, they can take advantage of this window. And look at that poke coming from Mission. Atlan moving forward.
Yeah, Alan was getting a little bit too excited there. Let's take a look here as a nice flank and pincer movement coming out from Machi.
Yeah, this was a complete sandwich, and this is the bullet time being interrupted by the Glacial Prison, used to cleanse flash heal as well to escape everyone from Machi Esports, and that was just perfect.
Well, this is kind of what we wanted to see here from Machi. We want to see them continue to apply pressure on the map against Alpha, because again, the longer this game goes, the more time it allows for this Kassadin to scale, as well as Atlan on this Misfortune to get more items to make that bullet time do more damage. Now, if you're able to interrupt it, that's a good start, but you might as well try and finish off this game as fast as possible. Cloud Drake will be spawning in 20 seconds, where Machi should be able to secure the Dragon Soul at 21 minutes.
True. You will have a lot of threats on the side of Alpha Esports as the game progresses. And you do have Rock, who will eventually get tankier and will be a little bit more painful coming into the team fights, especially with a grouped up Haymaker for himself. And meanwhile, Machi Esports, I believe some of them will fall off eventually, except for Mission will be the biggest threat in the later phases. Assassin will probably have a treat later on, as he will stack items eventually as well. As that is going to be the two squishy targets that he will love to dive into later on.
Yeah, Mission, he does stay pretty, you know, scary as the game goes until he kind of hits that point where he doesn't get any more items, especially when you're a lethality Varus. It does get to a point where it kind of falls off a little bit, so it'll be up to Bruce to try and maintain some of that consistent DPS, at least when it comes to the later game team fights. But now, Cloud Soul secured, they get themselves some extra move speed, they also got the ultimate cooldown reduction, and Machi are just saying, let's go for towers, you don't care about the Baron just yet, let's try and, you know, shove in and maybe go for a dive if Alpha try and overstay their welcome.
This is the perfect angle for a Glacial Prison if they do want to dive, but Machi will be a little bit more satisfied just trying to poke out here and there with Mission. Really decent mana regeneration.
Look at that, though.
Now?
You got...
Yeah, circling around.
You got the mid lane push coming out from the Renekton, so someone has to go over and deal with it. And that means that's the man advantage going back for Machi as they take their 5th tower of the game.
Assassin split pushing. This is quite reminiscent of the previous game that we had, on where might as well try to equalize your losses in terms of structures and push somewhere else, as Machi Esports did invest a lot towards this bottom side. Meanwhile, we see that Assassin already has his tier stacking up, so that at least has something going on for him.
Yeah, you got other items coming online. The Forbidden Book being picked up there for Cat Jung with the Morellos, just for the extra raw stats. QSS tax, though, was picked up very early for Atlan, so that kind of slowed down this Misfortune just a little bit. Would have had the completed Infinity Edge for possibly this upcoming fight, especially around the Baron. Maybe that's the plan here for Machi, is they want to try and force Alpha to have to make a decision to try and go for a fight here when they're not fully capable of taking one just yet, as the push comes out from Bruce on the top side of the map.
That's true, and with Machi Esports having complete control over this jungle, they see this.
See Machi decide to back off here as they're trying to look. That's forcing out a teleport, actually, from Rock. So Alpha don't really know what's going on here. As you see, Machi, they took the bet. Assassin them, they're being so cautious. Look at that, instantly. They make the call to try and go for a flank, but immediately interrupted by the Make It Rain from the Misfortune. So Machi not able to go for the collapse as they are playing pretty stealthily on this map.
And they reap their rewards, I suppose, with Machi gathering that wave up towards top.
Gemini, Glacial Prison comes out. Atlan able to survive, has the QSS immediately. Good timing. Gets him to safety, but still he's chunked down to about 400 health. Gotta be careful not to get hit by a piercing arrow from Mission. So, ultimate down for the Sejuani. Again, though, they do have 2 Cloud Drakes, so the 20% cooldown reduction. That ult is almost halfway off cooldown, so if Machi wanted, they could turn back toward the Baron and try and threaten.
That's the thing. They have to be worried about the short cooldowns, especially coming from the Glacial Prison, and as well as the Varus. And Assassin, because of the... Okay, this might be another fight.
You see, Machi's trying to place... They're trying to play within the brush. They've denied vision away from Alpha, and that's making Alpha a little uncertain. They keep trying to pressure back and forth within their jungle, That does allow Machi, though, to get some damage now toward this top tier tower. But look at this. Another pincer going to come on down. Katjung able to go over toward the side. Koala, though, is going to bring in PK onto the back line. Atlan's going to get stunned up, and immediately he's the main target. Exhaust is used onto PK. Koala and crew, they're going to go ahead and take down Kino as the kill goes on over to Mission. And PK now on to Rock. Rock gets stunned up. He's not able to go anywhere. He gets himself back over to safety. Assassin tried to make the hero play, jumping into the back line. But there it is.
Ooh.
Bruce gets just super slammed into the ground by Rock on the set. And Machi maybe bit off a little bit more than they could chew.
I think they got a little bit more excited as we saw Katjug and Assassin were quite low, and as well as Rock. Let's take a look at that again. They started this fight, and Katjug went over to rappel over to Bruce or Flash, but Bruce's arcing shifted the opposite direction, and the delivery system towards Atlan as well. Atlan didn't die here, so it was a good stun coming from Rock, and this was actually PK going, I suppose, extra aggressive in, or it was Gemini actually that came in. Or was it Bruce? It was Bruce.
Bruce trying to go for the 1v2, and he's trying to make a hero
dear.
play. Unfortunately, he didn't need to make that play. That was Machi getting a little bit too confident. You could tell. Now, Elder Dragon spawns in about 50 seconds. It almost makes you wonder, you know, what happened if Machi just went ahead and tried to go for a Baron? If they really wanted to force that fight, they could have allowed Alpha to have to come to them. They instead opt to try and go for the full push in mid lane. Doesn't pay off, and that gives a little bit more time for Alpha.
We did mention before the match started, Alpha Esports is really great in slowing the games down. And when they punish you, it's just enormous, especially when the late game comes, especially when they want to cash in towards these bounties. Mission does have 400 gold on top of the head at the moment. And I feel like that's what Alpha would want to take advantage of, especially Machi Esports is not being extra aggressive.
Oh, trying here. Machi over the wall. Bruce. Oh, they're able to get some damage into Glacial Prison. Bullet time is used, but in comes the teleport from PK. Tries to go for the back line. It's going to be Rock that brings them back, but Atlan gets taken down. No misfortune available now for Alpha as Machi are able to find the main target they were looking for, and that should be able to crack open the base of Alpha.
That's 30 seconds on the clock, more or less, for Atlan to survive. To revive, and Machi, what is the plan here? Either you play safe, go to Baron, open that inhibitor up, and looks like that will be the plan in mind, and Elder Drake as well.
Let's take another look here. That engage, Kino was able to block in a lot, but unfortunately, Katjung unable to land the cocoon allows PK to just jump into that back line as the Elise is so far off the screen.
That's the thing for Alpha Esports. Katjug, whoop! Just to Glacial Prison to scare them away.
They're not slowing down here. Rock toward the side. Assassin wants to rejoin. Not level 16. Doesn't have the 3 points into it. Over toward the side. Katjung is in the middle, trying to at least try and do what he can, but he gets taken down immediately. Elder Drake down to 2,000 health. Rock is zoning back Bruce. It's a 1v1 within the pit as Assassin's trying to interrupt. Now back toward the Dragon. Machi go. PK over the wall, and that should be Elder in favor now of Machi.
I was a little bit worried there for Machi Esports in case it's gonna get stolen, as you know, Katjug really does like these kinds of plays as well. Let's take a look at that again. So there's a lot of vision to work with for Alpha Esports, so they have no choice but to enter the fight. That was a nicely placed shield, I suppose, as Katjug was bursted down immediately as he was trying to do a hero play as well on that Dragon. Gemini and everybody else from Machi really stalled this out, and they did a good job. I think Bullet Time was not available. I think it was used earlier on. Machi with the Baron now, though.
Yeah, Baron and Elder Drake going to be secured by the side of Machi. And now the pressure starting to really mount. Assassin trying to get back towards safety. PK still wants to try and hunt him down. True Shot Barrage comes out. Not enough damage, but still they get Katjug, and he will get executed in the end by the Elder Drake buff. Now turret falls, jungle down, Machi knocking on the base.
And with that, that's 40 seconds on the clock for Katjug. Machi Esports does have Baron, so they're looking to end this one if they can.
We'll see here, still have the wave up in top lane. Mid lane is going to push back here in just a couple of seconds as the poke comes out from Bruce, still looking for it. Root's going to land onto Assassin. That's going to force out the stopwatch immediately. But guess what? Your main front line is taken down. It's going to be a double kill for PK. Rock tries to go for the showstopper. It does not happen though. And another Glacial Prison will keep him at bay. Assassin's trying to survive on the fountain. But with that, Machi are going to be able to extend their win streak to 8 games in the double round robin.
That is insane for Machi Esports, and they have a lot of damage already, and then add to that Elder Drake, it's just extra painful, and therefore no chance to fight back for Alpha Esports.
Yeah, unfortunately they're Alpha. They needed to play the waiting game. They needed that game to go a little bit longer for Assassin to really scale. You saw there those final team fights, was still only level 15, only level 16 when he was on the fountain. So unfortunately for Alpha, it seemed like Machi, they knew that they needed to end that game quick, and once they got both of the super buffs, that's an easy game to clean up.
And Machi Esports really played well. I think they really improved as a team starting from the first weeks of PCS, and now they're more confident. Imagine looking back, they lost against Alpha Esports by not able to finish the game as quickly. But now it's a totally different team. They're more confident now, and they're more clean, and it's just really nice to watch.
Yeah, especially now, like I mentioned, 8 games back-to-back that Machi have been able to secure, and they, I believe, now are only 1 game apart from AHQ. I think they still have a game in hand against AHQ, and they're looking to at least get the top seeding when it comes to the playoff bye. But again, firmly securing their place now in playoffs with this victory.
Yeah, they still have a few games against Berjaya and as well as J-Team, Liab, and HKA, I think. So that's still 4 more games for them, but I think that they've been very comfy against all of these similar playstyles, and they look very solid, and I am just looking forward to seeing more of them coming into the following days.
Yeah, because especially like it's a Machi that kind of knows their identity when it comes to the map here, and it's the fact that they're willing to say, all right, you know what, we're happy to play this, against this Casimuse and the Varus here as we take back to look toward the Elder Drake fight.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at this again as CatJug just tries to do his best here, but Machi Esports stopped the Elder Drake take and just focused everything on Alpha Esports, therefore denying any sort of potential steal as Elder Drake resetted in the middle of that fight, went to 2,000 damage, and at that point, Alpha conceded, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah, so with that, Alpha not able to stall out the game a little longer, and that's going to keep them in the mid of the pack when it comes to the standings. That was their only game here today. Machi still has to play another game later on tonight, but I think it's a great start and a good boost to the momentum as they start to close out their second round robin.
Definitely, and I really love the fact that they still have a lot of respect towards Alpha. The first 3 bans that they did, it was just LeBlanc, Rek'Sai, and as well as Lee Sin. So that sort of thing in terms of like reading different strategies against these teams, and they've managed to adjust well in the draft and execute it too. Machi is really a scary team.
Yeah, and you saw here where if CatJug and Assassin don't get the ball rolling in their early game, they're not able to, apply pressure in mid to then translate that to the side lane or into the top lane. Alpha kind of falls apart, and especially there, you're seeing only 6,500 damage on a Kassadin at 30 minutes. That isn't a good time there coming out from Assassin.
Yeah, especially when we look back at the games coming from Assassin and where either he's on a LeBlanc or perhaps maybe on the Kassadin again. This is definitely not the best Kassadin performance that he has brought to the PCS, and perhaps it's for Alpha, since they still have a few games to play for the following days. It's more of what do we do when Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, and LeBlanc gets banned.
Yeah, in particular, like I think for them, it's trying to figure out an alternative to some of their win conditions now, because I mentioned it before, I was impressed with how they've been playing, especially in week 3 and 4. Now though in week 5, it seems like teams are already starting to show a bit of the knowledge that, you know what, if you're able to take down Assassin, if you're able to calm down CatJug, there's not a whole lot more to this team's success, as the MVP is going to go on over to mission in the mid lane on the Varus.
Yeah, Mission did have a lot of really nice corruptions and from the Varus, and as well as keeping, you know, Assassin intact in his own lane. He did play that really well, especially against the certain ganks coming from Cat Jug. So therefore, they weren't able to put Assassin in a comfy lane, and it's because of, you know, the decision-making process laning wise for Mission.
So with that, now Machi still secure second place when it comes to the standings, and for all these other squads and below them, it's you know, now you're starting to see a bit of that gap start to form, and a little bit of concern, I think, especially from teams like Talon, where you know, they've started to fall off quite a bit in their second round robin. The surge of Machi here in the second half of the regular season is a bit of a concerning factor. For Alpha, they were hoping, you know, maybe they could pick up a victory here, and that would actually help them when they have to deal with the mid-pack of the standings. But now they're still stuck down in there, you know, alongside Nova, Liab, and Hong Kong Attitude. There's still that possibility where if you slip off here, you can fall completely out of the standings and out of playoffs very rapidly.
Exactly, especially with 5 games left, and they still have a few tough opponents coming into their schedule. And at this point, it's more of, again, trying to replicate what happened in the previous matches where they won, but at the same time, just as you mentioned, try to think of an alternative just in case those cards are not available to be played.
Well, as you guys can see, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, though, it's going to be more action as we got J-Team taking on Risser.